Here we are, just daydreaming.
Yep.
The days away, the playoffs here in Kansas City High School football.
So far, this is our official song until someone.
Well, this is the built-in house music.
Yes.
I gotta load some better stuff here. One thing at a time, baby steps here on our new look version of the StreamYarded Snap Tackle Pod. I'm Mick Schaefer of KSHB. He's Dan of Preps KC. How you doing, Dion?
Not too bad. We took a week off last week.
Did you can't do it without me?
Well, here's the actual deal. One, I didn't want to go through the rigors of trying to do with somebody else, and two, I was sick most of last week and still kind of getting over it. That's one less thing my voice had to do last week, and that's probably good because a lot of my stuff that I usually do on Wednesday, I didn't do till Thursday last week. And
I was on the beach in Mexico. I was the opposite of sick. I was it's healthy. It was fun. Good time. But we're back. We're back. And the weather still really hasn't turned yet.
Except for Sunday and Monday.
Football, right?
Except for Monday of this week. Jeez.
Yeah, Monday was bad. But I mean, it's low 70s.
Yeah, I think
low 70s
Friday night's a good night.
On Friday night, for crying out loud. Halfway through November. We'll take it for some what do we call them? Elite Eight games, is what we're calling it.
Quarterfinals in Kansas.
Quarterfinals, and then I guess still some
district championship level.
Sweet 16s.
Sweet 16s-ish kind of thing. Yeah.
They call it? No. Is it called quarterfinals in Kansas at this point, or regionals, or
I don't know. Whatever trophy they're handing out this week. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. You win a game, get a trophy, baby. Let's go.
You win a state championship, you fill up the cabinet. You win a couple state championships in a row. You have to start building new cabinets there at the school.
You do. All right. Biggest shocker. We'll start with that from last week. Got to be the Civil War in Blue Springs, right?
Yeah. Blue Springs came out really after one drive where they took down. They stopped them 3 and out. Then Blue Springs South goes down. They throw an interception, and it's really Blue Springs from that point on, and dominated both sides of the offensive and defensive lines, and just an impressive performance coming off of 3 weeks ago when they lost 35-7 to South, and it's kind of a tough end for a South team that was undefeated and no one really played them close outside of week 1, and that wasn't really even that close of a game. They hadn't trailed since week 1 against Liberty North. And that was 7-0. So, but Blue Springs has quietly been playing really good football and then put together a great performance. They got to go to Jeff City Helias this week. I think they should easily get that win. I don't want to put one in the box there, but I don't think Helias plays the same level of competition that Blue Springs does by any means in that Central Missouri conference that they play. And nothing against those schools, but Sedalia Smith Cotton was in that league and they had 4 or 5 wins this year in that league, and Raytown beat them 37-0.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's not an indictment of Raytown. I'm just saying we're talking Missouri Suburban Gold Conference where Blue Springs South play versus the Central Conference has got Class 4 Jeff City, Class 5 Capital City, a battle team that not only didn't win a game, I think forfeited some games. So, I mean, it's not as deep of a conference schedule because Blue Springs steps out and plays Rockhurst and plays teams like that. So, Blue Springs definitely a big step forward for them, and that was a great win, one of their biggest wins they've had in the last 5-6 years.
That was huge. Now 8-3 on the season. I think we all looked at Blue Springs South as a team that could go over. Well, I guess go up now, right, to St. Joe and win a state championship in the biggest class in Missouri. Can Blue Springs do that? Can they take that place, kind of take that baton and be the team from the Kansas City side and win it all?
Assuming they get past Elias, which I think they will, I think that they've got a good shot. They will probably play Nixa. They match up well with Nixa. Ronell Johnson, the outstanding defensive, there's several defensive linemen there, but Ronell Johnson is the guy who is definitely the main person on that team, and he will probably match up with that Jackson Cantwell from Nixa, and that's
best offensive lineman in the country, right?
Yeah, I guess, and we'll find out. I mean, Ronell's legit. I mean, if you had told me 2 years ago he's going to Indiana, I'm like, well, he must not be that big of a prospect, but that's the number 2 team in the country. It's one of the best programs in the country.
They're blue blood in football now.
Yeah, they are blue blood in football instead of basketball. And he made his presence well known in that game against Blue Springs South. And if they can get past those 2 games, that other part of the bracket is not good. One of the districts up there, Pattonville, was the 1 seed with the 5 and 4. And then St. Dominic was the 1 seed in the other district, and they got beat by Troy Buchanan. Nothing against Troy Buchanan, but we've seen plenty of suburban gold teams that had 2 and 3 wins, be in a district with Troy Buchanan and beat them in the past. I don't think they play the level of competition. So Blue Springs is in position. They've got it out in front of them. They still got a lot of work to do, but they've got it out in front of them. And if they can beat the Jaguars, they can beat anybody, and especially the way they played against the Jaguars on the line and were more physical and just took it to them. And that's a brand of football. They've been a big play team all season. And then the last few weeks, they've gotten their running game together and gotten that identity going. Corey Mayfield, their running back's really good. Their offensive line's playing really well. They're playing the kind of football you want to play this time of year.
Another Civil War battle was Lee Summit and Lee Summit North from Friday night. And for the second time this year, the Tigers get it done.
Yeah, and the Tigers jumped out on them early and led by 2 scores late. And then Lee Summit North battled back and took a 33-32 lead late in the game. They made a change. They have a 2-minute package with the guy who's more of a thrower as a quarterback. He comes in for Lee Summit, drives them down the field. They line up for the field goal, and they're going down the field. They get a pass interference call, so they get inside the 10. They line up for the field goal. They boot it through, straight through. No big deal. Game, basically game over.
Yeah.
But there was an offsides on Lee Summit North. So then they move the ball 5 yards closer. Kid goes to kick the ball, kicks it, hits the left upright, and goes through. Well, Lee Summit North almost penalty their way into a victory.
So they couldn't have just declined that penalty?
They took it, and so it ended up being more drama on the kick, and it went through off the upright. But no, that's 6 in a row for Lee Summit after starting the season 0-4. 2 in a row over Lee Summit North.
Yeah, they're back-to-back wins in 3 weeks.
And they go to North Kansas City this week, and I'm telling you, that's my dark horse team. I like North Kansas City. They've had a great year. This is a Lee Summit team that is playing with all kinds of confidence.
Sure.
And the other side of that bracket's Liberty and Liberty North. And, I'll tell you, Lee Summit's dangerous. They've got weapons in the Hatfield twins and Kirsten Feeney.
Yeah.
Those
twins had a great game.
Yeah. And Feeney just made the Suburban All-Conference Gold team as a running back, only playing 8 games. The first game, he wasn't playing running back. So he's only played 7 games at running back, almost 900 yards, I think. Is what he's got right now. They're just a dangerous team because it's not what you see in a lot of places. It's, kind of just straight up single wing kind of football where, you're zone blocking and going. And they're dangerous. Liberty's outside of the game in Blue Springs South has been dominant pretty much most of the season. Though Liberty North is playing really well too. They got a good win at Park Hill, and they've seemed to find some identity for them. And definitely is going to be an interesting that side of the bracket, and the winners of those, whoever comes out of this little quarter of the bracket, would probably get a CBC team, who I think is beatable. But no, it's Liberty North's playing their best football right now. We're a young team to start the season, and they've come back and really done well. And against the Park Hill team, I think that is going to look back and be like, hey, we were a pretty good football team. They didn't have much to show for it in the postseason, and that's too bad because, like I said, I think that was a pretty good Park Hill team.
So we had the Battle of Lee Summit this past week. We had the Battle of Blue Springs. Next week we have Liberty North and Liberty for a big game. This is another rematch, Dion, but from earlier in the season. I imagine so much
week 2,
with both these teams.
Yeah, Liberty North's a lot better team than they were. Liberty, I'm not gonna say they're a worse team. I don't think they are. I think they're probably just as good as they were when they played the first time. But they've been so consistent all season. And how they played outside of a bad a game where they ran into a buzzsaw at Blue Springs South and also helped them out with turnovers in the first half. They were down 42-3 at halftime. No, it's this is a good matchup. These teams want to be physical. They want to run the ball. It's one of our Remax Big 3 games. So yeah, it's a good one.
Over on the Kansas side, speaking of rivalries, it's not an inner city deal, but it's probably more heated than that. Mill Valley and St. Thomas Aquinas.
What a finish.
Literally every single year when they're in the same class. And what a finish. And it was the same what a finish we had from last year, but just a different result on a 2-point conversion.
And I really got to hand it to Aquinas because they were down 2 touchdowns, and they're not necessarily built to come back from 2 touchdowns back, and they
were down 2 touchdowns with like less than 7 minutes.
Yeah, and they went down the field, and their quarterback had a good game in that game too, and they threw the ball well. And you see this touchdown here to It looks like, with the extra point, we'll tie it up.
They
But
were
there was
never going for one.
So they decided to go for it, and pandemonium on the
And
Middle
also
Valley
just a
sideline.
great play by Mill Valley. I mean,
Yeah.
Arndt had done pretty much what he wanted all game long. Now Mill Valley defense came up with a couple big stops. You get that team to, behind sticks or a penalty or a sack or something like that. You can stop him. But Arndt had a big game. He hadn't played in a few games.
Yeah, he came back. He'd been hurt, and
right,
and came back and had a really good game, and it was just a fantastic game back and forth, because really it was 7-0, then 7-7, and Aquinas kind of had the lead there, and they kept the lead, and then it got tied at 14, and then Mill Valley goes up 28-14, get in the fourth quarter. Like, well, this looks like it's over, and Aquinas comes back. What a heart of a champion team. I know it's a cliche, but they really played hard, and you see why those two programs have won every 5A title since 2015.
15. No, Bishop Carroll got one.
Bishop Carroll
beat Aquinas.
That's the one.
That's the only one. But yeah,
it's a long time.
Other than that, and it's been one of those two from the East every single year since 2015. So we'll see. But I mean, they're facing Dion. They're playing so early in the bracket this time. There's a lot to go through. And from Mill Valley, that's going to be St. James this week. Yeah,
they got St. James, who had a really good win over Spring Hill, and that's a team that's playing well and played consistent all season long too. And on the other side of the bracket, you've got a Basehor-Linwood team that's undefeated but played a lot of close games, and a Leavenworth team that's just every time they step on the field this week is making history.
What a story, right? When was the last time the Pioneers were this far along in the playoffs?
This is the most wins they've ever had, I think, as a school.
Wow.
9 wins. And their loss was in week 1 to Basehor-Linwood, who they led in the second half of that game. Basehor had to come back and win that game.
This is going to be a good game, I think.
Yeah, and Rod Stahlbomber told me, like week 2, he's like, that's a good football team. He's like, he goes, they're going to be around. And then when I can't remember who it was they beat, I emailed him. I was like, you were right. He's like, I wasn't lying to you.
Well, I mean, look, they took down Blue Valley North by 2 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah, they dominated that second
last week. And that's an EKL school. I know they're not Aquinas or
they beat a good Pittsburgh team in round 1.
I mean, that's most years an EKL team is just going to run right through one of those UKC teams, and it hasn't happened this year.
No, and you got you come down to it, you've got a Sunflower, you got an EKL, you've got 2 UKC teams up there in the top. It says a lot. That UKC conference was put together to help those 5A schools.
Neither one's DeSoto, right? You would guess,
one's DeSoto.
Right? DeSoto's been a team that's made a run right out of that conference, and this year, good team, but just they weren't the level of Basehor or Leavenworth, and there's 2 representatives here. It's crazy. St. James is the only EKL team left in 5A or 6A. Yeah,
and it says a lot about, like I said, that UKC conference or UKC, United Kansas Conference. I don't want to say like ATM machine. The UKC was put together for teams like Leavenworth and Basehor, who were 5A schools. They've got, Lansing kind of floats back and forth on that line. They're adding Spring Hill next year. So that'll be even more. And Piper's going up to 5A next year. So it's a really good 5A conference, mainly 5A conference. And they're like teams, and they play each other each week, and they're all getting better because of it.
Well, I tell you what, I can guarantee Mill Valley or Aquinas will not represent 5A next year, because Aquinas going down to 4A, Mill Valley going up to 6A. It could be anybody's game next year in 5A. But we have this year still to play, and we'll stay in Kansas. Just a shootout. I mean, a fun team to watch is Olathe West.
Yeah.
They're the number 1 seed. They score a ton of points, and they're not afraid to give up points as well. And it was just a shootout with Olathe West last week.
Yeah, back and forth. Brody Hill had 5 touchdowns, passes, and 2 more runs. Kriskowski had 4 touchdowns. I mean, those 2 guys, there's a lot of players on that team. Those 2 guys stand out and do a good job. But that was, like you said, it was a shootout. And that's an Olathe South team that's really improved, and you can see how they've gotten better. And there was a lot of points scored in that game. And they've got it's going to be interesting this week. They've got Olathe Northwest again, who they beat just a few weeks ago and beat them pretty good. So we'll see in that one. That's the one half of that bracket over there, and that's Olathe West. They just keep winning games.
The entire bracket is the Sunflower League, basically, right? And so there's going to be rematches every single week. And then on the other side of the bracket, you have a Gardner team that's really coming on I think, against the Shawnee Mission Northwest team. That's been good all season.
Yeah, Sayer Padilla, 24 carries, 314 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He is now in 10 games at 2,374. You can tell it's stats night. I've seen these go in.
Yeah.
With 36 touchdowns.
Well, I want to say this. The two guys you just talked about, Sayer Padilla, and we talked about Olathe West, Brody Hale, are those two guys that can make their way to the Final Four of the Simone Awards this year?
I'd say that, and they're going to be, their guys are going to be sniffing around our elite team now. Rocco Marriott's going to have a lot to say about that quarterback position.
Holding people off at quarterback.
But here's another guy, Trey Woodruff.
Yes, Shawnee Mission Northwest.
Shawnee Mission Northwest.
Great year. Yeah,
had a great year, and I don't think people,
he's one of the top rushers in the city.
Yes, he is one of the top rushers in the city, and I will give you up-to-date numbers as we record because I've got those numbers. We do it on Tuesday night. I got a lot of things right here at my disposal. Let's see here. Shawnee Mission Northwest. Where are you at, guys? Mr. Trey Woodruff. He is at 1,767 yards, 31 touchdowns in 10 games, averaging a tasty
31 rushing touchdowns.
31 rushing touchdowns.
That's as many as Padilla.
Padilla has 36 now.
Oh, wow. Jeez. Unreal.
Yeah. So, but he's got 1,700 yards, averaging 10 yards a carry.
And the cool part about these kind of campaigns for all the awards at the end of the year, a win is just huge, right?
Yeah.
In at this point of the season, in that regard, to kind of get you to those big awards we hand out for football in Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think with the McCarthy elite team, it's like we say it, and some real professional voiceover guy that we get to do it says it's what you do on the field that matters, and numbers, you got to have some numbers to back it up. But Gardner Henderson is not a one-man team, and neither is Shawnee Mission Northwest.
Yeah.
But those two guys we talk about, Sayer Padilla for Gardner and Trey Woodruff for Shawnee Mission Northwest, they have put their team on their back a little bit, and they rely on them to go out and put up numbers and to be unstoppable. And I tell you, Trey Woodruff is not as big. I'm going to say maybe right around 6 foot if I'm correct in that. But he's pretty physical. He is a physical runner. Now, Sayer Padilla.
I don't think he's 6 foot.
No, I don't think he's 6 foot either. I'm trying to be nice. I think he's probably 5'10", 5'10", 5'11". Now, Sayer Padilla is legit 6'2", 215 pounds tailback that can break away from you and run you over and do all that kind of stuff. So
he's had a great season.
Oh, that's what they're going to do. He's getting the ball and they can't stop him.
But yeah, if you think you know who's going to win of those four, you're smarter than me, because Olathe West beat Gardner but lost to Shawnee Mission Northwest.
Yes.
Olathe Northwest beat Shawnee Mission Northwest. They didn't play Gardner. It's been almost kind of round robin of wins and losses between these four.
That's why I stopped. Last week Mackenzie
stopped betting on high school sports.
Well, no, I never bet on high school sports.
Yeah, I know, right? We could run it, man.
Oh, I tell you,
we could make bank.
I don't know about that. I barely do very well in my picks each week. No, I told Mackenzie that I stopped, laying the label on the team to beat in Kansas 6A about a month and a half ago, because every time I said something, like Gardner came off the who did they beat? They beat somebody, just handled them. Played Olathe West the next week and got crushed.
Yes.
And so it's like, I'm done. I'm done saying who I think is going to be the winner. We will find out when we get down to Emporia, and whoever walks on the field is the best team. And that
would have been Olathe North they handled.
Yeah.
And then got spanked by Olathe West. They played 4 straight Olathes this season. All right, let's get to. We have Remax Big 3 games.
Yeah.
What do you got on the Kansas side? We'll stay there.
Kansas side is Mill Valley St. James.
We talked about that.
Leavenworth Baser. We talked about that, and Shawnee Mission Northwest Gardner. So we talked about all 3 of those games. Though
4A, before we get back to Kansas or to Missouri, how about 4A here, Miege and Eudora?
I think that's a good one. We're going to cover that one as well. And no, it's definitely a game that you kind of keep an eye on, because I think Miege is playing better. They got their quarterback back, so their offense is clicking a little bit more. If Eudora is going to get them, this might be the year.
Mm-hmm.
Eudora's pretty solid all the way around. The only loss they have is Topeka Hayden, back in week 1. There's no shame in that. That's a good Hayden team. They
Powerhouse,
played about as close as anybody,
school, right? Yeah.
And so that's a good. They've had a great run. They're at home. It's going to be I think it's going to be a good game. Then you got Ottawa on the other side. I think Ottawa's got a good chance. That was a good win over Piper last week.
I think they have a great chance of going down to Altamont and beating Lebec County.
Yeah. So it's I think that Ottawa could be in the semifinals next week, and that's saying a lot because one of their best players got hurt, and they kind of regrouped and finished off the season strong. And it's a good run for them. Definitely, Ottawa hasn't been that deep in the playoffs in a long time.
Yeah. Over in Missouri, I know one of your Remax Big 3 games is going to be in Class 5. Rockhurst and Platte County.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Right?
That's one of them. First time they've ever met, from what I can tell.
Ever.
Oh,
man.
And
we went back and found Rockhurst had played William Chrisman a lot, right?
11 times. They had not played Fort Osage until last week.
That's cool. I like this.
Yeah. So, this week, Platte County, talk about their offense all the way. They scored 42 points, but it was, 14-0, 21-0. Their defense stepped up and played great against St. Pius last week and shut them out. And if that defense is starting to really lock down, then everybody else is in trouble. That being said, Rockhurst is playing its best football over the last month.
Agreed.
They've really bounced back from some tough loss to Blue Springs and the Liberty North.
A loss is looking better and better, but
yes, and the Liberty North, 2 teams that are still playing. I mean,
yes,
that's what I'm saying. It's like you could be talking about the 2 losses that Rockhurst had were the 2 teams that could possibly be district champions or semifinalists in Class 6, and they're playing well. And that's still it's a young Rockhurst team. They're playing a lot of juniors, sophomores.
Yeah.
So no, that's going to be the game, man. You see it online. People talking about where to park.
Oh gosh,
where to get there and stuff like that.
You should go to the airport.
Yeah,
Platte County, right?
Uber in.
Go to parking spot.
See if the parking spot will run you down there.
Go to economy parking.
Yes. No, it's a game. I think
the whole day.
Yeah, highly anticipated. Then on the other side of that bracket, it's Green Valley and Raytown, who seem like they played in the playoffs a lot over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it's just
and they played the first week of the season. They're playing the last week of the season, and I think
the nod to Green Valley in that one.
Probably, yeah. Raytown's, outside of a loss to William Chrisman a few weeks ago.
They shut out their last 2 opponents.
Yeah, like I said, outside of a loss to William Chrisman a few weeks ago, that just is a little bit of a head scratcher. Now, that being said, Chrisman is even though they got beat by Rockhurst bad, in a lot of their games where they were kind of even or maybe just a little not quite as good as teams, they were pretty competitive in games. So them stepping up and getting a win against the Raytown team is not surprising because I think they've done a good job with that team. But like I said, Raytown's handled everything they're supposed to handle. The other 2 losses are to Platte County and Green Valley. So there's that's kind of that deal there. So no, the Rockhurst Platte County game is definitely the one that I think a lot of people have had circled since that bracket came out or since that district came out back in late August.
All right, that's one Remax Big 3 game on the Missouri side. What else do you have?
Got some town called Kearney.
I was waiting.
Who's ranked number 1 in the state.
I was waiting.
And some town named Savannah that's ranked number 2 in the state. Savannah beat the number 3 ranked team in the state, Smithville, last week. Kearney, of course, rolled against Van Horn last week, and Kearney is as advertised, and so is Savannah. It's a rematch.
Good, huh?
Yeah, Savannah's good. Their only loss is to Pius in overtime a couple weeks ago, and they've really bounced back well from that. And so that's a game right there. I think we may look back and they may be the 2 best teams in the state. We'll find out once everything goes through.
Yeah.
Then we see in Class 4, but that's a good one there. And there are other Remax Big 3 games, Liberty and Liberty North. We already kind of talked about that game.
Yeah. What about on the other side of Class 4 here? Odessa still hanging out Mississippi River.
Yeah, going to Hannibal. And you look at their bracket, and they've got a chance.
Yeah.
You look at their Carl Junction's pretty good. They'll probably beat West Plains, but Odessa would get them, I think.
Yes,
they would get the home game. They would get them home game if they had it. And then if you go deeper than that, it's they'd be up there with like a Lutheran North, who's okay this year. Maryville already beat them. And I think Odessa is a team that's, start off kind of hot early. They lost to Moberly early, kind of a head scratcher there, but they've really kind of come together. Brett Jewell, their brand new head coach. And by the way, if they were to play Lutheran North, it would be a good matchup for Odessa because Brett Jewell is the former defensive coordinator for Lutheran North. So, if anybody's going to have some inside information, it's going to be Coach Jewell, who's done a fantastic job taking over for the Hall of Famer Mark Thomas. And, numbers are up there, and they've really this Odessa team has returned a lot of starters, and they've played pretty well, especially the last month or so.
Any comment on Class 3? We've got.
I'll tell you the team to watch for is St. Michael.
St. Michael the Archangel still going.
Yeah, St. Michael's. They're going to Boonville. They handled a Knob-Noster team that only had one loss in the season. I think they can beat Boonville. They beat Father Tolton Catholic, who's a really good Class 2 team a few weeks ago in the regular season. Hung 50 on them. Offensively, got a quarterback by the name of Gage Burgess, who's outstanding dual threat quarterback. I know his father. He was a good friend of my cousin. There's a time in my life where we hung out back in our 20s. His father was a heck of an athlete. I can tell you that. Playing softball stuff with him. But Coach Mark Bliss has come in. That St. Michael team, they're dangerous. On the bottom half of that bracket, you got Maryville and Richmond, who expected to be there. I'd probably give the lean to Maryville in that game, though Richmond's a really good team. But St. Michael would get that game with Maryville at home. And they've got, and on the other side, they've got Valley Catholic, and whoever comes out of this quarter gets either a Valley Catholic or a Lift for Life. I mean, St. Michael's a dark horse team. There's some teams that, you may go to St. Joe and be like, whoa, I didn't expect that team to be there.
Yeah. I love that it's in St. Joe.
Oh, it's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
It's,
and then, Kansas is all in Emporia, right?
4, 5, and 6 are in Emporia. Yeah. So you guys, it's got to be great for you. Just Friday and Saturday, just jet up there and
drives. Let's go. Yeah.
Just shoot up there and shoot all the games and come back.
And give Matt Foster our Scripps card, and he can just go there and get a room, hang out, all that stuff.
Yeah. So it's been a good playoff because we've had some surprises. And the Blue Springs one is probably the one that jumps out because South beat them 35-7. I thought going into the first time they played them that it would be a tougher game, and it wasn't. Yeah. South kind of came out and got them, but Blue Springs really returned the favor. And they came out and played a really good football game, and they are playing very well right now. And that Wildcat team may have taken South's spot as the team to look for to come out of that side of the bracket because they can get past Nixa. Whoever gets past that Nixa, Blue Springs district game is gonna go to the state championship game. Unless something crazy happens. Yeah, just teams aren't as good. So no, I still think that the 4 teams left on the other side, the Kansas City teams are all Liberty North, Lee Summit, North Kansas City. All those teams are good enough to go play with a CBC or somebody else who comes out of that other semifinal. So no, it's exciting, and we've got some really good matchups. Kansas 6A, there's no guarantee of anybody. Kansas 5A, there's nobody. I mean, you'd like to say Mill Valley or St. James, but there's no guarantee that they're going to keep that roll going and have to beat a Baser or Leavenworth the next week. Sure. And then 4A, they're doing what they did last year, but they got to get past Eudora. I mean, they didn't win last year. I think in 4A, if you get there, Capen's really good. I think it's Capen's. And then 5A, I'm going off what you said. I think Great Bend's pretty good, but I don't know if they play the level of competition that we play over here.
It's the whole deal, right? I mean, Great Bend is this super team, but Mill Valley and Aquinas have played the super teams before of Avery Johnson and Mays and those 3 straight Wichita Northwest teams that didn't lose a game and had D1 kids all over the place. And they just run into, the Kansas City teams in Mill Valley and Aquinas that are just tougher and more consistent all across the roster.
I think it's depth of talent. I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, if it's Mill Valley, it's Great Bend. I mean, Great Bend. I think they got the kid going to Notre Dame.
What's his name? Primer.
Ian Primer. Great wide receiver / tight end. I think they had a couple other D1 guys, so they might have 3 of the top 5 guys.
Yeah.
But Mill Valley might have the next 10, right? And what I've so much high school football I've seen, that's how you win state championships. Mm-hmm. It's the back half of the starting 22, right? And the depth you have there, and can you sustain an injury and all that stuff. And so, yeah, that's a long way down the road. Might not even be those 2 teams.
No doubt.
But yeah, I do like this year. It's there's some new blood in kind of all these classes, right? That
you got a North Kansas City and a Lee Summit in a district championship game in Class 6,
and then Rockhurst in Class 5. I'm just so curious. I mean, I mean, you'd give the edge to Platte County in this, but Rockhurst still Rockhurst, right? And I talk about depth and guys on the roster. They certainly have that, and against a Platte County team that's loaded with D1 talent.
Yeah, and Mr. Marriott picked up his Missouri offer this last weekend while you're
I told my
gone.
Missouri friends when they were complaining about quarterback, I'm like, you know what? It was like Monday afternoon. I'm like, Missouri's quarterback next year might be going to fifth hour at Platte County right now. Might just be getting done with lunch.
Yeah, we'll see. I love me some Rocco. We'll see what's going to happen to that quarterback position next year. We'll see what happens to the quarterback position here in the next 3 weeks. I think Mosley did a pretty good job, but he's out there throwing fastballs at every single time. Dude.
All right, where are we at in the are we counting down all the positions in the McCarthy Elite team?
Yeah, we did. We did D-backs last week, and so don't know what we'll do this week. That's always, haven't got that far. No, we'll
managers or something.
That'd
make it a big time elite team.
Oh yeah, being managers. The funny thing is that we've had managers who go on to like get D1 rides to be managers.
Yeah.
Come out of here. That's one of the things that I'll put a plug for the Greater Kansas City Football Coaches Association. They do 22 scholarships for players, and one to they call it the 12th man scholarship.
Yeah. There's
been a couple 12th man scholarships where they were managers that were going to be like Power 5 managers.
That's funny.
And that's what they were going to do to schools. And I'm like, you know what? It's a career. I mean, it's a there's pro teams all over at all the levels who need people to do those jobs. And I don't know if you happen to see the story about Rodney Pete's son during the World Series, who was diagnosed with autism. And so him and his wife were talking about there was the day of the he'll never day, like he'll never do this, he'll never do this. And he's like 25 now. Like didn't think he'd be verbal, didn't think he'd have a job, didn't think he'd live on his own, didn't think he'd drive. Well, they work with him. They got him a job in the clubhouse of the Dodgers. And now he's like the number 2 guy. And it's like they were like, he's as big a Freddie Freeman's like, I get to go to work and hug Rodney Pete's son every day.
Yeah.
Because he's totally he lives on his own, he drives, does everything like that. It's just a great story of what that job was able to do. And my wife and I watched it, and a lot of people with autism, they're very task oriented.
Yeah.
And that's a job you're running a clubhouse, you got to be task oriented, because that's people don't, I mean, you see it and I've seen it, you see it more than I do because you do more pro stuff. To run those locker rooms, even at the high school level, and get all that stuff done, and when we go up to the pro level and it's all that, it's a job. Those kids work hard. My sister-in-law was a manager on her high school football team at Blue Spring South, and they won their first state championship her senior year. And I remember they were coming around saying, she's like, should I get a ring? I was like, yeah, you should get a ring. I said, there's 2 reasons you should get a ring. 1, you earned it. You've done it for 4 years. And 2, you have 3 sisters. This is your only chance your father will have to buy a high school state championship football ring.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
So yeah, hats off to the managers. That's our manager segment this week.
Yeah. All right. I trust you. You're going to have the stat leaders up here soon. My favorite stat, I hope it continues, is that Rocco has more touchdown passes than incompletions this season. I'm hoping it carries.
I'll have to see. I haven't looked at that yet. In fact, as we were recording,
36 incompletions, 39 touchdown passes going into last week.
I haven't looked to see. I'm not going to spoil it because
how many touchdowns do you have?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
Okay. All right. Get to it. All right.
I know. In fact, I got the text from Cole asking if we were ready to go. So he's going to start compiling those as we speak.
We're ready to go.
So
hopefully
I'll have a voice next week.
I got a 10 o'clock show to do. All that stuff.
You got to edit this.
Edit this. Edit out. So much going on. One time of the year though. Dion, get better, get well, all that stuff. Okay. I'm going to stay stateside. We'll be back here next week. Enjoy your games. They're all on Friday, right? We got no Thursday or Saturday.
No Thursday or Saturday this week. Next week, we may start seeing some Saturdays.
Sure. Yeah.
In Missouri, especially.
Yep. So enjoy them. Watch KSHB Under the Lights at 10 o'clock. And then check Preps KC all night long for all the scores and all that stuff, man. Should be fun. In your Elite 8, regionals, sectionals, quarterfinals time. Yep. All right, for Deanna and Mick, we'll see you next time.